All right, someone was being delivered of a baby, and this seems to be the maternity ward of the Senate, where there is the conflict of interest bill that was being pushed, as you can see it. And the Speaker is, of course, coming to congratulate the Senate. Congrats, a healthy, bouncy, bad law. And of course, you know, the conflict of interest, how Senate has been castigated for mutilating the conflict of interest bill. I can see Senator Kongo Morgan, you stoutly denying that, but we'll look at it. Well, we'll look at it with the senators who are here, because it seems, yes, as it came from the National Assembly, the intent was very good, but it seems from the Senate, it has been mutilated. Yesterday, we were with the chair of JLAC here, Hilary Sigay, who stoutly denied that, despite the fact we have the Hansards, which are lifting or showing some of those clauses that they wanted deleted as well. We'll look at that. And which way forward and which way backwards, taxes and government spending. We shall be looking at that as well. You're watching Siasa Fiesta here on Morning Prime, holding court with Farah Malim, who is a member of parliament in Dadaab. Also, we have Senior Councillor Kongo Mogani, who is a senator as well of Nyamira. We have Dan Manzo as well, who is an advocate of the High Court, and also the senator of Makueni. And we are joined by Geoffrey Ruku, who is a member of parliament from Mbeere North, straight from Paris. Bonjour.
Oh. Bonjour. It's part of Sky Team.
Kongo is saying you're part of the Sky Team.
No. There is no Sky Team in Kenya.
Mr. Kongo and Dan Manzo, go tell us what happened.
What happened where?
What happened?
No, we'll come to it. Let's welcome Honorable Ruku here. He's been missing in action for the last, I think, almost 2 weeks now. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Duba.
Yeah.
And thank you for inviting me. I think it's too much has happened.
You are not visited?
I have not been visited because I'm doing what is right for the people of Mbeere North. And the most important thing is to do what is good to the people you represent in Parliament. And the people of Mbeere North so far are, I guess, they are happy with what we are doing for them. In terms of ensuring the projects are running well, ensuring schools are getting revamped and facelifted, ensuring that we can get laboratories in different schools, and many other amenities. And of course, listening to the people of Mbeere North. Mbeere North has been marginalized for many years. It has been marginalized by Kenyatta administration, by Moi administration, by Kibaki administration,
the colonial,
by Uhuru Kenyatta administration. And we are saying we are not ready to be marginalized in this administration, in Ruto's administration. We have to ensure whatever we are able to get for the people of Mbeere North in terms of development project, we will go to that end to see to it that the people of Mbeere North benefit in terms of the project, in terms of water irrigation, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of schools, electricity connectivity, and many other national government projects. We will be near where those decisions are made in terms of developmental projects, because we have been marginalized for many years.
All right.
Mbeere North is a very harsh area, very harsh area. That's why even Teacher Service Commission give it as a hardship area. So there's hardship around. So we can't be follow the decisions of other regions of the country, because we are totally different environment.
All right. How did you flee? Because I can see that is the account that is being given in the dailies there. We'll give you the Daily Nation momentarily. So, but you can see there how we fled. How did you flee the National Assembly that day?
Attack on the National Assembly.
When they attack. You know, the renovations now, they're saying it will cost 150 million shillings.
Huh? Who has said?
Right?
Who has said?
Wait, well, that's what has been stipulated. 150 million shillings.
Who has said?
Because I've not been...
I'm in the commission. Who has said? You know, Debal, now this
No.
let me tell you, I am a proponent of
I was
free
asking,
media.
can I just ask
you know, when you tell the country like that, you are setting us up against the country for nothing. And you want to get away with that statement.
No,
I've asked you, what is your source of 150 million?
From the dailies, I'll give you.
Yeah.
We have,
because
so I'll give you.
Let me tell you, Debal, the other day,
please.
The other day.
Just a moment. Can Ruku just?
We have not, as a commission, we have not sat and approved any renovations worth 150
That is
million.
a figure that has been floated.
Number
Maybe
two,
to come to
number
you.
two, no, let's clarify so that when you go to Ruku, let's put facts the way they are. Number two, Parliament has an insurance. Okay? We have an insurance with Gemina for property and equipment. If there is any repair that will be undertaken in Parliament, it will be the insurance. That's the insurance. They will sell their assessors, they will assess their damage, they will restore us to where we were before.
Yeah, so
we are not using any public money to do any repairs.
No, we're not saying it's...
Once the assessors come to Parliament, they do their, and they have already come, they have done the assessment, they'll issue a report. They will tell you, we were the ones who had insured Parliament, we have assessed the damage, we are going to restore Parliament back to where it was before the invasion at a cost of this much.
But
why are you getting 150 million?
But why are you getting aggrieved and you've not
because
gotten?
You want to set us up to the public that we have already said we have passed a budget of 150 million. We are going to spend public money.
I don't see why you're blowing your gasket and you've not even gotten the report from the insurance himself. Even the figure maybe it could be go away. No, I cannot withdraw. Yeah, because
unless you want to be a rumor monger.
No, it's not a rumor. I'll give you the details.
But what I'm telling you are the facts. Honestly, as a responsible Kenyan, and as a friend of yours, Debal, what I'm telling you is a fact. That the entire Parliament is insured. Assessors will come in from Gemini Insurance. They will assess the damage that was caused, and then they will restore us back to where we were before the invasion, 25th of June. So we are not going to spend any public money to the tune of 150 million.
But I've not even finished my statement. You just jumped into it. To defend the country.
Welcome to debating with Omogeni. Welcome to debating with Omogeni.
I've not even disclosed whether this is the report from the insurer. Anyway, let me hear from Ruko as well. Where were you that particular day? How did you flee?
That day I was in Kigali, Rwanda for parliamentary training.
You chose particularly, or okay. Continue.
We were in Kigali. We went to Kigali on Friday, and voting was on Tuesday. So I was in Kigali for 5 days.
Kigali to party.
For training on statutory instruments, act training, because I sit on a delegated delegated registration committee. So I was not in Parliament that day. When the Occupy Parliament happened. But let me say this, Depar. The Article 37 of our Constitution allows Kenyans to demonstrate, assemble, present petition to public authorities as well as pickets. But it has two conditions: to do that peacefully and unarmed. So what we witnessed a few days ago, we saw firings, we saw people armed, we saw riot, not demonstrations. And I think as Kenyans, we have to follow the letter and the spirit of our Constitution. There is nowhere in our Constitution which says we have to violently demonstrate, where it says we have to carry arms in our demonstration. So yes, it is right of every Kenyan to do demonstrations, but can we be able to do those demonstrations peacefully? In the initial stages of Gen Z's demonstration, we saw very organized and non-violent demonstration, which is very commendable, and which is something that should continue now and in the future. So long as there's an issue which needs to be raised and probably the authorities are not listening, you have your right under the Constitution of Kenya to do so, to do demonstration in a peaceful an armed manner. So I think we need to follow the spirit and the intent of our constitution. There is no need whatsoever. We will not solve the problem facing Kenyans or facing our nation if we decide all of us to be violent. If we decide that we are going to burn this country down, we will, all of us, be in a mess. All of us who want a better nation, we will not achieve it through violence.
Fantastic, fantastic. Can we buckle down to just a bit of the stories that, of course, we wanted also to highlight a bit. And before we head there, the issue of the 14 days that was being raised here, because I can see, if we look in the dailies today, also we have the Speaker of the National Assembly who has responded to the letter that was written by Otindem Amolo regarding that. And he says he will not, let me just try and retrieve that so that we can be on the same page. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? But the 14 days that right, I'll try and get it. But before we head there, as I try and retrieve that, let me just run you about the story that also was a big ticket issue yesterday, where the president continues to face questions of unfulfilled promises from expectant Kenyans who hoped by now he could have made changes to his cabinet, following his promise to do so in his address to the nation, where he said he will do so or address this issue quite shortly. However, many days later, no changes have been made, raising the questions if he meant business or not. So how soon is soon, or how short is shortly? Let's hear from Finik Odoch.
President William Ruto continues to face increasing pressure to make changes in his cabinet. Kenyans insist these changes will improve the performance of his government and reduce the economic burden of high wage bill. Addressing journalists at State House, Nairobi last week, the president promised immediate changes in his government, including cabinet adjustments.
The cabinet that I have maybe could have done better, right? And I am going to do a soul searching on how we need to move forward.
These pressures stem from the protest against the Finance Bill 2024, which lasted over 2 weeks, led by Generation Z. The bill's proposal to increase taxes was strongly opposed, with the government accused of misuse and mismanagement of public funds. The protesters demanded measures to reduce expenditure. Instead of increasing taxes. President Ruto will later bow down to pressure, promising to make changes in his government, and I quote, shortly. However, when he addressed the nation, he failed to meet these expectations, leaving Kenyans with many questions.
These measures will be followed by changes in government that I will be making shortly.
With the promise to implement these changes soon, Kenyans continue to wonder about the timelines, as the president did not provide a definite time frame. It has now been about a week since this commitment was made, and the question that continues to linger in the minds of Kenyans is how soon is soon. This raises further questions about the president's sincerity regarding his recent promises for government changes. In a cabinet meeting last week, sources revealed that the president could reduce the ministers from 22 to 15, with various ministries expected to merge. So far, this remains just a promise. Last August, when the president invited his ministers to sign performance contracts, he criticized some of them, especially regarding their performance.
Many of you, the people I speak to, don't even know what is going on in your ministries or departments. You have very scanty information. The moment I know more than you in your ministry, then you must begin to understand that something is very wrong.
Some of the ministers whom Kenyans continue to pressure the president to dismiss include Roads, Transport and Public Works CS Kipchumba Murkomen, criticized for poor condition of the JKIA airport and the increase in road accidents. Health Minister Susan Nakumincha also faces criticism for failing to provide proper leadership in her ministry, which is plagued by doctors and interns strike. Agriculture Minister Mithika Linturi is under fire for the fake fertilizer scandal that caused significant losses to farmers. Other ministers under pressure include Energy Minister Davis Chirchir, Education Minister Ezekiel Mashogu, and Public Service and Performance and Delivery Management CS Moses Kuria. What does the Kenya's 2010 Constitution say about the cabinet? In Article 152, Section 1, it states that the cabinet shall consist of the president, the deputy president, the attorney general, and not fewer than 14 and not more than 22 cabinet secretaries. The Constitution allows a maximum number of 22 cabinet ministers with a minimum number of 14. The big question is, why can't the president form a cabinet of only 14 ministers to reduce the burden on Kenyans? Finnick Oluoch, KTN News.
All right, the Gen Z protest seems to have awoken and re-energized the Sabasaba spirit, with the liberation struggle and fight staying alive within the religious circles, as was witnessed in the 80s and 90s, where Reverend Timothy Njoya and his ilk came out against the government. Then the religious leaders have and continue to provide opportunities for the youth to organize events within the church and even set up medical camps for them during protest. Has the church finally seen the light? Vera Morale reads through their current verses.
When the countrywide protest organized by Generation Z took off, no one knew what direction it will take. But recent events show that church leaders have shown support to the youth. It all started when Gen Z took to social media to counter church meetings and harambees, where politicians, especially parliamentarians, were frequently invited. In response, the clergy cancelled these events even at the last minute, despite extensive planning. Similarly, during the protest, churches such as All Saints Cathedral in Nairobi and the Jamia Mosque set up medical camps within their premises to attend to the injured during protests. On Sunday, July 7, 2024, the doors of Holy Family Basilica and All Saints Cathedral were open to the youth. At 2 p.m., masses and services organized by the youth were conducted to honor those who lost their lives during the protests. In these church gatherings, the youth had the opportunity to express themselves freely.
This is a conspiracy. Beyaunga protests, rebellion land debates. Government is a shareholding company. Uwasingishu scholarships come. Control of budget report 2023.
However, this is not the first time they have occupied churches. They have previously been given the opportunity to take the stand and address the congregation.
Kuhakikisha kwamba kanisa lenu.
In the early days, religious leaders oftenly held secretive closed-door meetings with political leaders and remained tight-lipped about the content of these discussions. The bigger question now is what has prompted the clergy to support the youth.
We can be mistaken. And sometimes the social media can make us get mistaken. I'm not defending myself. I'm not defending myself. But I'm just saying that even as a church, we want to renew our commitment in serving and responding to the needs of the young people.
Generation Z during their protests have made it clear that they are the future generation and that the church needs to support them. On the other hand, the church has also condemned the action of young people who are taking advantage of the situation to loot and destroy properties.
We also continue to pray for the leaders. May God make them humble enough to listen and to respond appropriately. To listen, not to react, but to listen and to respond appropriately and in a peaceful manner.
Religious leaders have also warned police officers against using excessive force on protesters, stressing that the government should engage in dialogue with the youth to maintain peace and guide the nation in a better direction. Vera Mora, KT News, Nairobi.
Now, President William Ruto's Friday announcement that 47 state corporations are lined up for dissolution has triggered yet another conversation with leaders and pundits saying the president cannot unilaterally make such a monumental decision. They say every entity was founded on specific, distinct acts of parliament, and as such, only parliament can effect such a plan. And as Alan Ochanda reports, the head of state has also been called out over his delay to assent to the IEBC bill into law, terming it as a ploy to protect his allies against being recalled by the electorate.
While making the announcement, the president noted that the functions of the entities earmarked for dissolution will be integrated into other ministries and workers will be seconded to these ministries. Pressure is also mounting on the president to sign the IEBC bill into law. The commission is currently not fully constituted and cannot carry out its functions, yet several constituencies and wards remain unrepresented as no by-elections can be conducted. Delimitation of boundaries, a key function with specific timelines, has also not been carried out, forcing the Commission CEO Marjan Hussein to seek a court's interpretation on whether they can proceed with the exercise as currently constituted. A concurrence between the National Assembly and the Senate on the proposed changes to the Electoral Commission has paved the way for its reconstitution, which will now have 9 commissioners instead of 7. However, delays by the president in signing it into law has raised concerns.
Parliament has done so well to process the amendments to the IEBC Act. So all that the president needs is to sign into law. But we are concerned because the delay in signing IEBC bill into law is a clear demonstration that the president is fearing something. And we know that the main fear is bordering around the recall process. That now members of public who are agitated about what the government has done and what the members of parliament have done will take advantage of that recall process to recall the members of parliament.
The lack of quorum at the electoral agency was occasioned by the exit of the commission chair following the expiry of his tenure and the departure of 4 commissioners. Professor Gitile Naituli in a statement says, quote, delaying the review of the constituency boundaries has serious implications as it denies Kenyans representation. One of IEBC's obligations is to guarantee Kenyans authority through elections. End of quote. IEBC is mandated to review the names and boundaries of the constituencies at intervals of not less than 8 months and not more than 12 years and should be completed at least 12 months before a general election. Alan Ochanda, KTN News.
All right, and of course, we're given to understand that the president will be assenting to that bill this morning, and there has been questions that have been raised, especially from the Jubilee side regarding some of the clauses, which we were discussing earlier with Farah Malim, that they also want to be, or they're seeking to be using vehicles, vessels, as they put it, as polling stations, and this was, they've not indicated if this was actually to address some of the issues within the marginal areas where sometimes polling stations can be a challenge as well. So Jubilee is seeking to have those clauses deleted because they read mischief, that sometimes if vehicles can be used as polling stations, then that is a spawning ground for rigging and all manner of malpractice as far as elections is concerned. All right, I wanted just to highlight this, if my director may just pick up what is on the dailies, because it's challenged to verify where we're getting information. There you are. And they're saying house repair to cost over 150 million shillings. And this is coming from the Parliamentary Service Commission that you say has not given this figure. I say that approximately 150 million shillings will be required to repair Parliament, which was damaged by the anti-tax protesters 2 weeks ago. The PSC, chaired by the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, has been meeting to take stock of the damages before engaging an expert to undertake an audit. Thereafter, the Commission will engage a contractor to fix the mess, preferably before the members of Parliament resume their sitting on July 23rd, after a short recess that started on June 26th, a day after passing the contentious Finance Bill 2024, which President William Ruto declined to assent to. Sources in Parliament who did not want to go on record said that while the assessment of the extent of the damages is still in the preliminary stages, the cost of repair could be higher than approximated. And it says, quote unquote, the Commission is in the process of enlisting the services of an expert to quantify the extent of the destruction. So far, we cannot say we are there yet. It is the expert who will inform the Commission of the cost implication of damages via report. That is what the sources said, which of course agrees with what you said. But yes, they've given that particular ballpark figure. It could be higher, and you've indicated. So we don't need to belabor the point.
Yeah, we don't need to. Honestly, we have serious issues.
We have serious issues too. Yeah. All right. I want to just on talking on serious issue. Where is Farah?
No.
Smiling cheekily.
I noticed initially Omogeni literally going ballistic. That this has been said. Who said? And now he says it's none of the most serious issues. That's normal.
You see, he's actually saying yeah, that the source is telling them a report has not been made, yeah, which is factual. Okay.
What's his preliminary figure?
After a report is made, a repair will be done. You know, when you have an insurance, it's like if your car is damaged in an accident, you don't determine how much you're going to use to repair the car. The insurance will send you an assessor. The assessor will assess the damage, and then they will tell you your car will be repaired at certain garage or whatever, and then they pay. So it's the same thing. The insurance will send an assessor. You as the person insured can't pick your own. So there's no way Parliament can pick a team from within to come up with an assessment of the damage that was caused. It's the insurance that will send in assessors. They do the assessment.
Thank you.
And then they'll tell you your damage is estimated to be this much, but we will come in, they pick their contractors, and they do the repair.
Fantastic.
It's a very simple exercise.
All right, let's move on, Farah.
I think big or small Parliament, the Parliament does not pick any bill there.
No, that's the insurance. Simple. It's the insurance, yeah. It's the insurance. Right. It's good for the public to know so that we don't create a debate out of nothing.
But no one was actually saying the cost will be meted by the taxpayers. But still, even that insurance is taxpayers' money in any way. No matter how you want to slice it, it's still coming from the taxpayers' money.
Not really.
No.
That's the insurance. It's not taxpayer.
The insurance. The taxpayer does not pick it up.
But you pay for the insurance.
Of course, they pay.
They do pay. Yeah, they don't give it for free. So what are you telling us? Yeah?
Don't split hairs, please.
The insurance.
Oh yeah, but you pay some premium to the insurance at the end of the day.
The premium is there whether there's a damage or not.
Please.
But when there's a damage, they pick up the damage.
Okay, fine.
So don't say it's on the taxpayer. It's not on the taxpayer. It's on the insurance.
The taxpayers has paid for the insurance.
No, but that's normal. It's been paying it for forever. It's not just today.
Okay, fine.
You know,
I won't split hairs. I won't split hairs. Thank you.
Go on sensationalism.
No, I won't split hairs.
Sensationalize everything, basically. And you know, because the ordinary people you're talking to out there, you instantly will give them an indication or the impression that, we have to spend another money. And then MPs, and now they're going to corruption. It's not 150, it's probably 80 million, and the other 70 is going to line up.
Okay.
No.
Point well taken.
Yeah, please.
Let's discuss this very crucial issue, because
I'm
I
happy
think
that he's also gone, you know, because when it comes to him, when it was on any other area, he doesn't mind the lies, you know, spreading and running around.
But don't know follow which lies.
When it comes to him, because he's the Parliamentary Service Commission.
You know, I only say that Father doesn't vote with us. That's all. Which lie am I throwing this
all
morning?
right.
That's all I say.
Let's talk about that voting, because we have the issue here where earlier on we had this letter that Otieno Amollo had written, if my director may just pick it up, so that in light that he wanted an appeal, the repealing is, let me just read the letter, all right, to Right Honorable Moses Wetangula, and it says, reject the finance bill. Kindly receive greetings from the good people of Rarieda constituency and myself as elected representative. Right Honorable Speaker, I have drafted a bill to repeal the Finance Act 2024, currently a bill. In light of the public rejection of a bill and the subsequent decision by the President not to assent to it, I have taken this initiative because, one, contrary to the proffered opinion, neither the President nor Parliament can withdraw a bill that has already passed the third reading. And of course, that is Standing Order 140. Second, contrary to the President's memorandum of referral suggesting that we should amend the bill and delete it, Article 115, Sub-Article 5 of the Constitution as read with the standing orders as interpreted by various speakers of Parliament, it dictates that these three aspects, let me go to the next page, it is inconceivable to amend a bill to result in nothingness, as Article 115 Article 5 specifically expects submission of a bill to the President after the process of consideration of the President's memorandum. Standing Order 154 Sub-Article 5 specifically expects a vote on the amendment to the bill and does not contemplate a vote on deletion of the entire bill. The entirety of the standing orders and parliamentary practice, as variously reiterated by many speakers over time, does not contemplate amendments that negate a bill or as will result in its complete avoidance. For the foregoing reasons, I believe that the route of repeal on the same day that the finance bill will become law pursuant to Article 115 Sub-Article 6 is one that lends itself to reason, logic, and the Constitution more than the alternative proposed. Such a route need not await expiry of the 14 days but can commence immediately with the attendant shortening of the process and be passed by the National Assembly at a special sitting as many as may be necessary. It should be further noted that the Finance Bill 2024 will automatically become law on the 9th day of July, which is today. 2024, Article 115, Sub-Article 6 of the Constitution. I have taken the liberty to draft such a bill in my capacity as the Member of Parliament of Rarieda constituency and in cognizance of the overriding public interest. In determining this matter, I herewith enclose a signed copy of the bill for your consideration. I look forward to your consideration of these matters and assure you of my highest regards. Yours sincerely, Otieno Amollo. And then we have now, the Speaker has responded. And he says, of course, Honorable Dr. Otieno Amollo, Parliament Buildings, this is from the office of the National Assembly Chambers. This was on 2nd July. The above matter and your letter dated 27th June 2024 refers, I have noted the contents of your letter and wish to guide as follows. 1. In notifying members of the receipts of the memorandum of 27th June 2024, I did refer the memorandum to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning for consideration and reporting to the House. I also directed the Clerk of the National Assembly to share a comprehensive explainer to members on the basic procedural steps applicable to the process. In the notification and the explainer to the members, copies enclosed here, I guided that the President's memorandum constitutes a rejection of the bill in its entirety and that the House shall reconsider the reservations in the memorandum when it resumes on Tuesday, 23rd July 2024. Secondly, from the guidance I have given on this matter, I encourage you to channel your views on the memorandum to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning. You're also at liberty to appear and prosecute your position before the committee on such date that it may schedule and further ventilate your concerns when the report of the committee is considered by the House. The President's memorandum does not at any point refer to a withdrawal of the Finance Bill 2024, he noted, the manner of considering reservation contained in a President's memorandum by Parliament has been extensively addressed by predecessors in considered rulings, which you may consider perusal for your further understanding. And it continues, as you're aware, Article 115 of the Constitution outlines the procedure applicable to presidential assent and referral of bills presented for assent. Upon presentation of a bill for assent, the Constitution grants the President 14 days within which to either assent to the bill or refer it back to Parliament for reconsideration. The assertion that the Finance Bill 24 shall come into force after 14 days is therefore patently incorrect and misleading. Article 115, subsection 2, subsection 3 and 4 of the Constitution empowers members of Parliament to reconsider the bill and pass the bill in the manner it deems fit, subject to applicable voting thresholds. The content of your letter suggests, but without legal foundation, that the role of the House is excluded in reconsidering the Finance Bill 2024. The House has previously amended bills to accommodate the President's reservations seeking the deletion of all operative clauses. This was the case in the 11th and 12th Parliament when the House considered the Central Bank Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 28 of 2014, and the Law of Contract Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2019, and at no point did either of these referred bills become law by a fluxion of time. A member of a committee of the House can only propose legislation to repeal an act of Parliament. The Finance Bill 2024 is not an act of Parliament and cannot become an act of Parliament by a fluxion of time. Your proposed draft repeal bill of the Finance Bill 2024 is therefore alien to the applicable legal instruments. A reading of your reference letter further suggests that you may be desirous of negating the President's reservation or reviving the Finance Bill 2024 in some form. If this is the case, please be guided that, pursuant to the provisions of Article 115, sub-Article 4A of the Constitution, you shall be required to marshal the votes of at least 2/3 of the members of the National Assembly, that is 233 members, in support of the proposal upon resumption of the House. And there is appended his signature, the retired Honorable Dr. Moses Wetangula, EGH MP, Speaker of the National Assembly. Maybe we can start with this from the Speaker's panel.
No. He has put it
quite succinctly.
Very succinctly, and it's to the point. Mm-hmm. But there's one other thing, and I know both of them, both my friends, colleagues, are lawyers here. When you amend more than a third of a bill, then that bill dies in its entirety. More than a third of the content of a bill itself is amended by the House. People move amendments in there. Right now, what the President has got to do is has got to send it back with a memorandum. And I haven't seen the content of the memorandum. What is the content of the memorandum? He basically said he rejects all of it.
All the clauses.
All of it. So
should have put the memorandum,
The rules are very clear. When he rejects it, a Parliament can either override this with a 2/3 majority on the first vote, or can take it back 3 times. Mm-hmm. But even with a simple majority, then it becomes law. The President's assent does not become necessary. But there's also another provision that I haven't seen the standing orders. And if you propose amending up to a 30% of a bill itself, then that bill dies in its entirety. I would want to see what Omogeni, if he has any information. I don't have any copy of the standing orders. Do you have a standing orders?
We should have a standing order. Let me just ask the producer.
But I think, Dibal, many countries with presidential system of government give the president veto powers. And I think what the president has done here is to veto the powers of National Assembly, passing the Finance Bill 2024. And you can override his veto by marshalling 2/3 majority. You say, we disagree. We disagree with your memorandum.
Yes.
We think this is good law. And if you marshal 2/3 of members of Parliament, it becomes law. I don't think there is any other avenue for that law becoming law without the involvement of two-thirds of members of National Assembly. So the window, in my understanding, the window that exists for that Finance Bill 24 becoming an act of parliament is by members of parliament marshalling two-thirds, and then they say, we are rejecting the memorandum of the president and we are returning the bill back to him as is for assent. This route that is being raised by senior counsel, Otienda Amolo, I think it does not hold water. In my humble view, it's not a good thing to disagree with a senior counsel. But I think...
let me just say, share one thing with Omogeni. I think he's got it right. Omogeni, in the American system, ours is not pure presidential in the sense that it is a carbon copy of the American system. No, it's not a carbon copy. The American system, the president says no, it's no. Period. You can even marshal whatever numbers you want out there. You get my point?
Yeah.
So that's why you have to have what you call horse trading, and both sides give and take. Sometimes they have a shutdown of government. You know that when they have a shutdown of government.
You see the way they balance it. Yes. This is how you accommodate the minority in the American system. They have what you call filibuster. Okay? If you are a minority in Congress and a bad law comes to the floor, you have a right to continue making contribution on the bill till the other side comes to its senses and say, let's sit and build consensus. Now, that's what we are lacking here, Honorable Farah.
But filibuster is to scuttle the whole process.
It's just to delay something that will definitely come.
You see, like now, this finance bill, if you had filibuster here, the members of minority party will continuously make contributions to the bill, and you cannot stop them. What happens in the US is that when they filibuster for long, the majority government side is forced to say, okay, let's sit and build consensus. It is a way that stops what you call tyranny of numbers in the Congress. They are forced to step down and say, fine, let's sit down and build some consensus. But here in this part of the world, a bill can actually be passed in a day. In an afternoon, it can be read for
senior counsel.
Can I finish?
Yes.
It can be read, and there are members who have become experts of saying, can we put an end to the debate and put the question?
Mover be called upon to reply.
Yeah, mover is called upon to reply. I think, Honorable Farah, from where I'm speaking, it has contributed to us passing some laws that are not well thought out.
Because of the tyranny of numbers.
Because of the tyranny of numbers.
Yes.
I don't know what we can do, because I think this country has been given a second chance, so to speak. I don't know what we can do to kill this tyranny of numbers in Parliament, and to also accommodate the voice of the minority in Parliament. Because the majority is thin. It's not a supermajority like what Keir Starmer has gotten in the UK. Technically, we came in with 175 members of Parliament. Of course, other parties folded and joined UDA. But I think there should be a mechanism where you can put some brakes on bad law. You know, every bad law that I've seen being pointed out by Gen Z talk about the National Government Coordination Act that amended Section 2 and brought in another Section 12A and introduced the position of Cabinet Administrative Secretaries. You know, that law was very unpopular. There was opposition from the minority side, but because of the tyranny of numbers, you can only get like an afternoon. The debate is brought to an end abruptly, and it's voted. The same thing with the Affordable Housing Act. When the bill was introduced in the House, Manzo, you remember?
Yes.
We introduced so many amendments, you know, before the Senate. But because, again, the tyranny of numbers, we were outwitted on the floor, and in an afternoon, that bill was passed, transmitted to the president, and assented, and it became law. The other areas where you get a window is maybe if you have a regulation, like SHIF, the Social Health Insurance Fund, where the Committee on Delegated Legislation can have a bipartisan approach. That way you can pass laws that are not being pushed through using the tyranny of numbers, but have a bipartisan approach.
Thank you.
Acting in the best interest of Kenyans.
Right, let's say from Dan Mazo and Ruku.
Yes, I really want to think on the states clearly that Article 115 has not yet been interpreted by the courts. And you may find that if this went to the Supreme Court, you will find that either the Speaker or the Honorable Omolo Otiende will carry the day. And in my own simple reading of the bill, of Article 115, it is clear that if one wants to be mischievous, because you see, there's no law without exception, or what I may call panya route. Every law has an escape route of some sort. It's not completely sealed. If somebody wanted to be mischievous, and then the politics of the day changed, probably one will argue that by today, this law has become law and can still be applied. Because the moment, the common practice, the moment a bill is done with the Parliament and all the processes, and then it goes to the President, if the President does nothing about it, it automatically becomes law in 14 days. The President has referred it back with a memorandum, which now the loophole in the law is that there's no time limit as to when the memorandum can be effected. And clearly, for obvious reasons, Parliament is not occupiable now. By at least Senate is sitting, but you will not accommodate the two houses right now. It doesn't have that capacity because of the damages. So there are many circumstances where the Speaker can justify why he did not call the House back immediately to consider the memorandum of the President. Now, the memorandum of the President is a very unusual one, and is also aided by law in one way or another. The moment you delete the whole bill, it only remains the headline. According to the President now, there's no bill. So again, also, if you took that argument to court, you would probably carry the day. Therefore, I want to say that...
so this is the first that we've had all the decisions close, yeah?
It's a very unprecedented, the first time. And where the President has totally disagreed. And in normal circumstances, the President would have signed this bill into law. But owing to the demonstrations and the disagreement of Kenyans and the obvious unavailability of the people's input, that is, public participation. Whatever materials were brought in through public participation, very little is in the bill. And therefore, even on the basis of that, the President would still have deleted all the clauses as he had done. Is very unusual. He took an act which really threw National Assembly under the bus, those who had voted for the bill. There is a very big political strain, on those who voted yes in their own constituencies. And therefore, I think what the President did really calmed down the situation and calmed down Kenyans. But there was that likelihood, and it is good, the Honorable Otiende brought it up, that somebody would have played mischief. And by today, end of today, they will say, oh, after all, the bill is law and is still applicable. Nonetheless, when you see what has happened to East Africa, some of these taxes we are trying to reject through the 2024 finance bill have been brought back through the regional agreements and will still be applicable because Kenya's economy does not exist in isolation. And therefore, this is a tight balance. It can go either way. If it was subjected to interpretation, probably the Supreme Court will disagree with the Speaker or disagree with the Honorable Otiende.
Thank you.
It is a matter we need to interpret for the future of the nation.
All right. Honorable Ruku, what do you think?
When you listen to Honorable Mahanzo, you understand the reasons why Kalonzo Musyoka will never be the president. If you listen to the advice,
if this is the advice is being given,
it is very painful.
I don't know how
it is very painful to sit here and listen to what Mahanzo is saying.
Getting to your ears.
And he's saying it with a lot of conviction. And it's all, innuendos and things
propaganda.
which are not functional, total propaganda.
I can assure you,
you sit here and you listen to it. It is extremely painful to listen to.
He will become president if God gives him the power.
Let him speak.
Yes, wait. But you have attacked me.
I have been listening to you quietly for you to make your point. I didn't interject.
You want me to say the same for
I didn't interject. Though it was very painful.
Let him finish.
Though it was very painful to listen to him, I held my cool to listen to the propaganda he's trying to say, that all the public participation, opinion and comment and memoranda which were presented to the committee, the finance committee, were never,
I said little,
were never considered. You know, although he does not sit in that committee, he does not sit even in the National Assembly. He's a senator. He's the wrong person to comment on exactly what happened as far as the comment and public views, as far as the finance committee is concerned. Anyway, having said that, I just wanted to say,
continue. Don't derail his thoughts.
You know,
the officers have been banned in your region.
No, Dan, please.
Is that what you started?
Please, Dan, just allow him to say something. You will have your moment. You will have your moment.
I'll get my bell here now.
The reason why, again and again, I will say, with such kind of advisors, then we have national leaders who are in a lot of problems, and they are in that problem because not of their own doing, but because of some of these guys who always around them, close to them. It is true, UDA offices were banned in I don't belong to UDA, I belong to Democratic Party of Kenya. Okay?
I didn't know you were in DP.
DP is my party. I'm not a member of UDA. I'm in Kwanzaa Coalition, yes, supporting President William Ruto.
Okonga had already marginalized
and his government. But I don't belong to UDA, I belong to Democratic Party. That is the party which brought me to Parliament. Now, many public opinions were considered as far as the finance bill is concerned. The reason as why finance bill was withdrawn is to separate two things: criminality issues and the issue at hand. Because there's difference between the content of finance bill, which for those who voted yes, me included, I still believe in the content of the finance bill. That is the right thing to do for the Republic of Kenya. But now, it comes a time when we have to separate issues, when we have to look at the situation and say, the way things are, let's be able to ensure we are able to separate issues properly without bringing innuendo and side shows. So, for us to be able to see clearly, pull down the finance bill. And that is exactly what happened. Did we not see the riot the following day? Even after withdrawing the finance bill?
With Ruto must go.
Yes. So it changed now from a finance bill to Ruto must go. So the problem is not finance bill.
It has never been finance bill.
There is a bigger problem, which is the president. There are people, I don't know whether Generation Jay-Z's or it is some of these guys.
Big wigs behind it.
Whether some of these guys, whether it is some international element, we don't know. Who have a certain agenda. An agenda which is being pushed in a very systematic and very well organized way.
Which is the regime change.
Okay, so are we talking about the regime change? Are we talking about Thomas Go? Are we talking about putting this country into anarchy path? Are we talking about finance bill? Are we talking about criminal element? These are the issues which need to be separated properly. Remember, we have a constitution. Kenya is not a banana republic. Unless we want to take Kenya that route. We have a constitution which we have to respect. And a constitution which is very well balanced to a greater extent. So, and at the same time, a very expensive constitution. We have to do an audit and see whether this is the constitution which we need for us, or Yesterday, there is a friend of mine who we schooled together.
Yesterday.
In university.
Can I take a short
Ask
break with you yesterday?
How do we do the budgeting process? There is an element. There's a conviction out there that the budget committee just sit and allocate money without proper itemizing of each and every budget item. So I was trying to take this person through the process, and he was very shocked to know that the budgeting process is item by item. And there are three things which we can't, which feed into each other.
Can I take a short break?
Budget policy statement, a finance bill, the budget appropriation bill, and the budget presented by the CS in the parliament. All these documents, we have to look at them in holistic manner. You can't cherry pick.
Thank you. Can I take a short break, Honorable Ruku? We'll circle back with you and continue. It is coming up to 8 o'clock, so we have to pay our bills as well. We'll take a short break. You're watching Siasa Fiesta here on Morning Prime. When you circle back, of course, we continue with your thoughts. Don't lose them. And then we'll gravitate deeply also on now the halting of the task force that is on the public debt task force that had been announced by the president last Friday. Now we have the latest development from the courts as well, which has halted that. It had been deemed unconstitutional. We shall look at that as well. And the conflict of interest bill as well. We need to make it limpid and clear what